I awoke to a horrifying scene in my daughter's room, the unbelievable truth behind her murder. I never should have opened that door. The feeling of dread washed over me like a cold tide. My heart raced, pounding in my chest as I stood just outside her room. It was a Saturday morning, the kind of day that usually held the sweet promise of pancakes and laughter. I had planned to wake her up, maybe let her pick out a movie for our afternoon. But now, everything felt wrong. The hallway was dim, even in daylight. Shadows seemed eager to creep into corners, whispering secrets that made my skin prickle. There was a chill in the air, a humidity that felt wrong for early spring. As I approached her door, a smell tickled my nose, metallic and sour, like something sinister was lurking just out of sight. I paused, hesitating. Strange noises echoed from within. I could hear a soft thump, like a body shifting in bed, yet my daughter was supposed to be sleeping soundly. She had tucked herself under her bright pink blanket, her favorite, a gift from Grandma. The kind of blanket you'd expect every little girl to have, comforting and warm. But now? It felt unnaturally heavy. The floor creaked under my weight as I stepped closer. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. It was ice cold, sending a shiver up my spine. I gritted my teeth, swallowing the lump in my throat. The air thickened. Was it my imagination, or was the whispering louder now? A flicker of movement caught my peripheral vision. Something shifted behind the curtain. A faint rustle, a breath that felt like an icy claw on my neck. I pushed open the door, the hinges squealing a protest. The sight that greeted me froze my blood. Her room was torn apart, stuffed animals strewn across the floor, as if something had ransacked it in a frenzied search. But what sent a wave of nausea rolling in my stomach was her bed. It was made, pillow fluffed with precision, but she was nowhere to be found. And then I saw it, a small, dark figure standing motionless at the window, framed by the light filtering through the sheer fabric. It was a silhouette, hauntingly familiar yet horrifyingly wrong. My heart skipped. Was I dreaming? Was I trapped in a nightmare? The figure turned, and in that moment, every hair on my body stood on end. A quiet giggle echoed through the room, soft, playful, chilling. That wasn't my daughter's laugh. My breath caught in my throat as I realized I had stumbled into something far more sinister than a simple sleepover gone awry, and then, without warning, the door slammed shut behind me. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I staggered back from the door, fumbling against the smooth wooden surface as I scrambled to turn the knob. Locked. The deep thud of my pulse echoed in my ears, drowning out the faint laughter that filled the room. It was disembodied, weaving through the air like a phantom thread, chilling and taunting, a sound that curled around my spine and constricted my breath. The dark figure at the window began to move slowly, gliding toward me with an unnatural grace. My mind raced, struggling to comprehend the impossible. It was small, childlike, but it wasn't my daughter. The elongated limbs and featureless face drew closer, and I could feel a heaviness pressing against my chest, suffocating in its intensity. The sound of tiny footsteps echoed, soft yet unnerving, as if the weight of the entity carried the weight of treachery. I turned my eyes to the rest of the room, searching for clues amidst the chaos. The walls were painted pink, decorated with fairy stickers and framed drawings of unicorns, yet they stood in stark contrast to the grim reality unfolding before me. I felt a gnawing dread crawling over my skin, and instinct urged me to look back at the figure. As if sensing my gaze, it paused, and I glimpsed a flicker of movement beneath the curtain. It leaned closer, where shadows congealed and swirled around it. I couldn't make out any features, only a grotesque distortion of a child's innocence. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. The giggle crept back, and the figure lunged, vanishing from my sight for an instant. I stumbled backward, losing my balance, until the edge of my foot met the remnants of a stuffed unicorn with its stuffing spilling out like guts. I let out a muffled cry, struggling to rise, dread intertwining with confusion. I forced myself to my feet, adrenaline spurring me forward as I pounded against the door again. "Let me out." My voice cracked, mingled with sheer desperation. I rattled the doorknob with frantic urgency, but it remained obstinately locked. But the figure was back, darting between shadows, zigzagging toward me with dizzying speed. Each laugh echoed louder, more maniacal this time, a cacophony that enveloped the room, filling it with an overwhelming sense of malice. I could see its tiny hands now, elongated fingers stretching towards me, claw-like and sinister, glistening with something dark. My blood ran cold. Was it possible it was reaching for something? Maybe me? The sensation grew unbearable, the air around me turned thick, dark, like quicksand that threatened to swallow me whole. The familiar smell of decay intensified, saturating my senses. Desperation clawed at my throat. I scanned the room for an escape, but the only thing that caught my eye was a half-open closet door, darkness spilling out like an inviting abyss. Without thinking, I lunged toward it, my heart hammering against my ribs. The laughter crescendoed, seeming to fuel the shadows that lurked in the corners of the room. Just as my fingers grazed the closet handle, a sudden chill swept through the room, and every shadow morphed. Baby dolls, once innocent playthings, now twisted and distorted, faced me with empty eyes, grinning wickedly. Their voices joined in the laughter, a chorus of sinister whispers echoing through the walls, daring me to stay, to succumb to their hollow realm. "Mommy," a voice tinkled in my ear, my daughter's voice. But it bore a disturbing duality, laced with something dark, as if calling out from the void. My breath caught again, and my heart sank. I couldn't tell where her voice ended and the malevolent echoes began. I pushed open the closet door, stumbling into its dark embrace. The air felt thick against my skin, and I began to lose my sense of time and space. I reached out in desperation to find anything, the darkness closing in around me, and suddenly a hand grasped mine. It wasn't warm, life-affirming like my daughter's touch. It felt cold and unyielding, like the grip of death itself. "Play with us forever," the whisper returned, now distinctly coming from the thing holding my hand. I twisted to pull away, fighting against the pull of whatever was seizing me. But as I turned, the closet door slammed shut behind me, plunging me into an inky darkness where fear encased me like a shroud, and the laughter escalated, rising to a fever pitch as I screamed. The shadows morphed and twisted, their shapes distortions of faces I didn't recognize but felt inexplicably drawn to, and then, amidst the chaos, I felt a familiar presence brush against my leg. I looked down in the darkness. I saw a small figure taking shape, its features becoming clearer. My daughter stood beside me, smiling sweetly, yet her eyes held depths of darkness that pulled me closer. "Where have you been, Mommy? They're waiting for you." The sinister laughter erupted again, this time deafening, as the darkness consumed us both. The last thing I saw was her hand reaching out toward me, not for comfort, but an invitation into the void. The darkness enveloped us so completely it became a tangible force pressing against my skin, and I felt a chill crawl across my limbs. My daughter's figure blurred around the edges, her smile warped as the shadows twisted her innocence into something grotesque. "Mommy?" she repeated, though now the sweetness had dissolved into a lilt that sent ice down my spine. "They're waiting for you." The shadows shimmered and, without warning, eyes emerged, glimmering orbs threaded with malice and curiosity. They blinked in unison, flickering like flames, and I realized they belonged to the figures I had seen lurking around the room. Drawing closer, their forms took shape, revealing small bodies with monstrous characteristics, wide mouths smeared with dark substance, jagged teeth too large for their faces, and hollow eye sockets that seemed to absorb the very light around them. My heart raced, instinct screaming at me to flee. I turned back toward the closet door, desperately clutching at the air, but it had faded into the abyss behind us. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm me, I grasped my daughter's hand, feeling for a fleeting moment the warmth that had once been there. "We need to get out of here," I pleaded, but instead of fear, her eyes sparkled with a sinister glow, a blend of belonging and derision. "No, Mommy," she chimed, "this is where you belong now. Come play with us." With each syllable, the shadows writhed, wrapping themselves around her like tendrils coiling to a heartbeat that called out to me. Their laughter persisted, an eerie symphony echoing off the walls of my mind, drowning out clarity and sanity. In that moment, the air shifted, a pressure building in the void. The figures surrounding us swirled faster, filling the air with a scent reminiscent of rotting flowers, mingling with the familiar fragrance of my daughter's shampoo. My body trembled with the urge to stand my ground or surrender. "We're all friends here," one of the figures crooned, its voice pitchy yet smooth like melted wax. The yellowed teeth of the being glistened grotesquely in the dark, and it took a step forward, revealing tattered clothing that hung from its frame like remnants of forgotten dreams. "We just want to play. Forever. No," I screamed, pulling my daughter closer, the grip tightening around her small hand. "You're not real, you